welcome in. Yes, you are in the right spot. This is the Phoebe Bookstore. Yes, we are famous because we carry so many different genres of books that you are going to just absolutely enjoy. Yes, yep, my name is Phoebe and I'm going to be taking care of you today. So are you coming in for a particular book in mind, or are you just kind of wanting to browse? Okay, yeah, I can definitely show you and pull you some books from different genres. Do you kind of like to read a little bit of everything? Yeah, okay. So this section right here are highlighted right now because there are books of the month. So we're going to be taking a look at those specifically today. But I can also pull you some from our shelves if those don't really match your tastes, okay? Okay, awesome. So, like I said, I have books from lots of different genres. I love reading myself. In particular, my favorite genres are true crime. I love true crime novels, but I also really like history and then graphic novels too. Yes, I love, love, love graphic novels. Graphic novels are real books. I hate that I have to keep saying that. I know. So like I said, we can definitely take a look at some of mine, and then if you want it, I can put it to the side for you and we can check out later. Or if you want me to pull other stuff from our shelves, I can too. Okay? Okay, awesome. So let's take a look at our very first book here. So this is C.S. Lewis, The Magician's Nephew. So a lot of people think that The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia series, but that would be wrong. So The Magician's Nephew is actually the first book, and it kind of gives some background to why the White Witch is in Narnia and how Narnia came to be. So if you are someone who likes fantasy, this would definitely be a good book. I know that it kind of feels like a book for kids, but I promise you, kids can read it, adults can read it. Anyone really that likes fantasy and kind of exploring new worlds will love this book. So what do you think? Okay, you're not so much a fantasy person. That's okay. I do really recommend, if you know anyone who likes fantasy, this series is awesome. But we can go ahead and put that to the side for right now. So then let me get away from fantasy then, okay? Why don't we take a look at our two books of poetry then? Maybe we want to go the complete opposite. So we have these two books here. They're both books of poetry. The first is the sequel to a book, Rupi Kaur. This is her second book of poetry, and it has this really good textured cover, and it's called The Sun and Her Flowers. The back says, there's a little poem on the back. It says, "This is the recipe of life," said my mother, as she held me in her arms as I wept. "Think of those flowers you plant in the garden each year. They will teach you that people too must wilt, fall, root, and rise in order to bloom." So to contrast her first work, which I feel was definitely more going through trauma and some insecurities, I feel like this book is more a book of poetry with growth. Maybe that's what I would say, like a flower growing. And just like the first book, there's like little illustrations on the pages, so you can see. But this is a really good book of poetry if you liked her first work, and even if not, they don't connect, so this could be good. The second one is also a book of poetry, and it's called Pillow Thoughts. And it has this jellyfish, 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 on the front cover. So it says on the back, Pillow Thoughts is a collection of poetry and prose about heartbreak, love, and raw emotions. It is divided into sections to read when you feel you need them most. Make a cup of tea and let yourself feel. So it is true, it is divided into sections, and this one doesn't come with illustrations like The Sun and Her Flowers, but it is divided into sections. And let me see if I can get to the sections. So these are the sections right here. If you are dreaming of someone, if you are in love, if you are heartbroken, lonely, sad, missing someone, if you need encouragement, if you are soul searching, if you need a reason to stay, and then the last one are these are for you. So again, I'm a pretty big poetry person myself. I used to write a little bit before, I started working here at the bookstore. But I just feel like sometimes there's a lot of bad poetry out there, but I really feel like good poetry can just kind of put the words in your mouth for you. Sometimes when it's hard to describe how you're feeling or what you're thinking. So what do you think about these two? What do we think? Oh, you'll take The Sun and Her Flowers? Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna put the Pillow Thoughts back. I think you'll really, 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 really like this. This is my favorite book of hers. All right, so I will put this to the side and we will check out that one later. Okay, are you ready for the next one? Okay, awesome. So going in again, a completely different direction. This book is called Hidden Valley Road. Hidden Valley Road, Inside the Mind of an American Family. That's the family members. So this is nonfiction, so this is a true story. I would say it's not true crime, but anyone who is interested in psychology would really, really enjoy this. This is one of my favorites. I mean, a lot of these are my favorites, but I really think that you'd like it if you like nonfiction. So basically, it's a story about this family of almost all boys. So if you can see, there is one girl up at the top. The rest are all boys, so a really big family. And their last name is Galvin, so the Galvin. So again, this is a true story, but just taking a look at the back and to refresh my memory. Basically, they had 12 kids. 12 kids. And out of those 12, oh, maybe I was wrong. Oops, there were 2 girls. My bad. 2 girls, 10 boys. Out of the 10 boys that they had, 6 ended up being diagnosed with schizophrenia. Yes. And they all had very different versions of schizophrenia. And it was kind of like one of the first studies that the National Institute of Medicine had on schizophrenia and about how it is passed down and what symptoms look like. Obviously very different from what we know today about schizophrenia, which still isn't a lot, but more than what we had in the 60s, which was when this book is kind of set in. But it was so fascinating to read because it talks about each of the boys and their family dynamics and just, what happened to their family. And again, in the 60s, mental health issues were not as talked about openly as they are today. So it was just a really fascinating introduction to what psychology, the study of psychology, looked like at this time. So it's a very heartbreaking book. It was a very difficult read, but if you are interested in, like I said, psychology, family dynamics, mental illness, this would definitely be a great read. What do you think? Okay, perfect. Well, I will put this on the checkout list for you then. I think you'll really like it. Again, very different from The Sun and Her Flowers, to be sure, but definitely a very good one. All right, are you still ready to see some more? said, I'm going to keep pulling you different directions. So this one's going to be wildly different, okay? Okay. So this is a memoir. This one was just published, I think, last year or maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And it's a really interesting title. It's called I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. If you don't know who Jeanette McCurdy is, she's pretty famous for being on the TV show iCarly in like the 2000s, 2010s. And this book was very, very difficult to get through. I'm not going to lie. Very similar to the last one in that the topic is, it's pretty heavy, but again, just so rewarding at the very end. So just taking a look kind of at this cover right here. I'm just going to read the little part right here. It says, a heartbreaking and hilarious memoir by iCarly and Sam and Cat star Jeanette McCurdy about her struggles as a former child actor, including eating disorders, addiction, and a complicated relationship with her overbearing mother, and how she retook control of her life. I know, right? I know. It comes with this little cover right here. So again, this one is a little bit similar to the last one, like I said, in that they're both kind of about real events, real people. But this one, because it's written by her, about her experience, I really enjoyed it. But I know that memoirs aren't for everybody. So what do you think? No? Okay. I totally understand. Like I said, it is a pretty heavy topic. And some people just aren't memoir fans, so that's totally okay. I'll put that one away. All right, I just have a few left for you, okay? Okay, awesome. Are we doing okay so far? Right now, we just have 2. We have The Sun and Her Flowers and Hidden Valley Road. We're still good with those 2, right? Okay, awesome. All right, so our next one is a classic. So this is a classic of literature. This is going to be one that is a little bit older, so it's from an older time period, so the language is going to be very different from what we've seen in the other books. So this one is Pride and Prejudice. Now, highly recommend if you have not seen the 2005 version with Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. That movie is my favorite movie of all time. It is so good. It is so good. But the book is actually really surprisingly good. Most of the time, you know, either the movie's great and the book sucks, or the book sucks and the movie's great. I don't know if I said that the right way, but anyway, Pride and Prejudice is just fantastic. Now, this is a special version that we have. So normally the cover does not look like this, but we have a special version. This is called the Signature Classic. So if you don't know, it's basically about a family of girls living in, I don't remember the age that they're living. I want to say like Regency era. I think maybe that's the right, like kind of around the same time as like where Bridgerton is set in. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, it's basically a romance book. If you like romance books, it's actually called A Novel of Manners. That's the official kind of genre it is, but it's a romance one. So like I said, it has a lot to do with like, you know, strict moral codes and what to do with when you're courting someone during this time. It was all very like formal and professional, and it basically follows one girl, Elizabeth Bennet, who is kind of going through ups and downs with her family during this time, and some romance things happen, and it is so precious. I love it. So again, this one is Pride and Prejudice. So what do you think? You'll give it a try? Oh, I'm so excited for you. Like I said, I know the language is a little bit hard to get through, but it is so, so good. It is so rewarding. Oh, okay. Good, good, good. All right. Beautiful. All right, here we go. You ready? Now, don't yell at me. I know it looks so scary. It's so big, but I promise this is not a book that you're going to read for pleasure. It is like a coffee table book. So if you're looking for a book that will make you look smart, this is it. This is it. This is a history of the world in 100 objects. So this is not, oh, I'm gonna read this and relax and, sit down with a cup of coffee. This is like, no, you are looking at this and it is interesting for sure, but yeah, it's historic. So if you don't like history, this might not be the book for you, but I particularly recommend it if you like history, but also because it's basically like these authors choose 100 objects from all different, parts of the world and all different time periods, and they explain how that object shows the time period and the culture that it was from, and it just is really, really cool to read and like kind of work through. So it took me a very long time to get through this book, and it's so pretty. Look at the gold, it's gorgeous, but the images were just beautiful. So for example, let me see if I can pick one that I actually know how to talk about. So okay, so for example here, they don't come in, like they're not ranked, so it's not like, you're gonna start with one, but okay, here we go. Sorry, there's a lot of ones that I don't know how to pronounce. Okay, here we go. Okay, so for example, this is the Vale of York hoard, and these were Viking objects found in England. So again, these are Viking objects that they found. Looks like there's some coins. Looks like some bracelets. So again, lots of different stuff here. But like I said, really more so just like they even have a credit card here at the end. So again, I'm gonna assume this is a no. Yeah, it's a hard sell, but we do keep it because there are those history buffs that really like their history. Okay, let's put that away. I'm sorry. All right, so we just have 2 more books left, okay? So this one is a comic book. So do you read any comics? Okay, every now and then. We carry a lot of different comics, but I particularly recommend Batman Year One. So again, this one is Batman Year One. So a lot of Batman stuff has been released in the last few years, particularly the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. There was that TV show, The Penguin. Little less recently, there's like the Batman versus Superman and the Dark Knight trilogy. But so this comic book is Year One, so it kind of gives not like Batman's history, but more so like the background of what his first year was like as Batman. So he's like just starting out as being Batman, and kind of what that process of like, what does Batman do? Like, what does he look like? What kind of tools does he use? How does he catch criminals? That kind of part. So it's pretty dark, but I really, really like it. And so like, let me show you kind of like some imagery here. Where's some Batman? So like, for example, so on the side here right there it says, he has trained and planned and waited 18 years. He thinks he's ready. Chapter 2, war is declared. So again, just this really brooding image of Batman here, just about to start crime fighting in Gotham. So even if you're not, a comic book fan, I myself don't particularly read a lot of like superhero comics. I read like other comics, but this was really, really good. Again, even if you don't know anything about Batman, it gives a pretty good look at who he is and kind of his background. So what do you think? Yeah, you'd be willing to try? Okay, awesome. It's very short, so it's a very quick read, but I really think you'd like it. Okay, awesome. All right, we are on our very last book. Okay, you ready? Awesome, I'm so happy. So this one is not really a book at all, but it is a cookbook. Do you like to cook? Okay, yeah. For me, I had to learn how to cook when I was in college myself, and I did not have this in college, but it would have been awesome if I did. So if you've ever played the game Stardew Valley, it's a video game. It's on like the Switch and PC, and it's kind of like in the genre of like cozy games. Cozy. So it's a whole recipe book based on the game and food that you can actually like make in the game. So like for example, like let's look at, and the pictures are so pretty too, but like it's broken up by season, because in the game you go through 4 seasons. You like make a farm for yourself. So for example, one of the recipes for spring is complete breakfast. Looks like some pancakes there. Then this is summer. So one of the ones for summer is a shrimp cocktail. I hate shrimp, but maybe if I followed a recipe, I could eat it. So that's one for summer. And then if I flip ahead to fall, ooh, this is a survival burger. Looks like it has eggplant and bean patties with pickled carrot ribbons. Looks like this is a vegan, vegetarian burger, not actual meat patties. And then a recipe for winter. Ooh, these all look so good. It's making me kind of hungry. Some baked fish. So like I said, it's all based on recipes from the game, but obviously anyone can make the recipes. Like I said, there's some yummy pictures. So like I said, you don't have to be a fan of the game to get this book, but you do have to want to cook. So what do we think? I see you're on the fence about it. Why don't I put this one to the side for right now, and if you decide to come back and get it for yourself, you absolutely can. I'll place it on hold for you, okay? Okay, so before we wrap up for today, let's go ahead and just double check through everything that you put aside, okay? So we have the Batman Year One, the comic book. That's number 1. Then we have Pride and Prejudice. This one's a long one. Then we have the nonfiction, The Hidden Valley Road. This was in Oprah's book club in 2020. And then last but not least, the book of poetry, The Sun and Her Flowers. The book of poetry, book of poetry, book of poetry. All right, so you're still all good with those 4, correct? Awesome. Well, I am so happy we were able to find you some books today. I know that sometimes shopping for books can be difficult when you don't know what you're looking for, but I'm happy I was able to find you some good stuff today to take home. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming in. And please always feel free to come back anytime you need a new read, okay? Awesome. All right. Have a good day.